Hello, everyone. It is still starting the event for us. Here we go. All right. Stevie. Actually, Stephen's not showing up. It's going to be Stephen today, right?
Okay. Yes, it's Stephen. Yes.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for attending, beautiful and amazing human beings. So today is going to be very special, and we're going to wait until the very top of the hour to get the presentation started. But I've got a wonderful guest, a very talented colleague by the name of Steve Washer.
Oh, that's me. Oh,
that's
okay.
you. That's you.
Right.
Yes.
I was looking around.
And you'll notice he has better video than me because he's a video guy. So today we're going to be visiting every best practice you could possibly think of for video interviewing when it comes to the setup, the video, your executive presence, how you come across on video, just a little bit. And
I think that's a matter of opinion. Some people might think that your video looks much better, actually.
Oh, I got the flowers, but you're crisp. You're great. You're looking good. All right, so we've got 3 minutes left, and we've got some people coming in a little early. So when you come in, I would love for you to let us know where you're logging in from. So we always like to see the reach that we're creating, and so please let us know where you're at. Welcome and happy Friday, everyone. So I can't wait to see it in the chat. So go ahead and put in the chat where you're calling from. All right, and we'll wait just a couple more minutes.
I'm calling from somewhere in the eastern United States,
yes,
from an undisclosed location.
A bunker. You got your
didn't say bunker.
Dehydrated food. You didn't say bunker?
I didn't say bunker, although we do have adequate water.
Yes, good. That's adequate water is always very important. I've got some.
San Diego is sunny.
All right. Hi, Arlene. Good morning.
We have a lot of rain here, Arlene.
Michael, hey, great to see you. He's coming from OPKS, which means Overland Park, Kansas. I happen to know that because I'm in Kansas City. I'm actually on the other side of Kansas City in Lee's Summit is the name of the little suburb that we live in. But Steve actually does not live in Kansas City. He's on the eastern half of the United States at any given time. Isn't that right? All right.
That's correct, yes.
All right. We'll wait a little less than a minute, and then we'll get started. I'm really excited about this.
𝐞𝐯𝐞𝐬𝐿.
Oh, this is going to be fun. This is great. Lenny, hi.
David's coming in from the New Jersey shore.
Yes. Randy says some snowflakes.
A bright and warmish Dublin. Sorry for the terrible accent.
Oh, and that's
I know some snowflakes in the state of Connecticut. That's enough. It's enough already.
I thought Randy was talking about you and telling you that I just assumed Randy was talking about you. But all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I am Tammy 𝐞𝐬𝐵 with Career Resume Consulting. And if you have joined us, whether it be from YouTube live stream or from registering for the live stream, welcome one and all. And we're going to cover a lot of stuff today. We've got a limited amount of time. I'd really like to wrap up by about 5 after the top of the hour if we can. And that means that we've got a lot of slides and a lot of really great information. And we're going to go through why we're doing video interviewing as far as coaching goes. It's super, super important these days. So I would love to know, just to get a pulse from everyone that's here, how comfortable do you feel on video right now? From a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable do you feel in a video interview? If you were to have one at the top of the hour, let's say next hour, and you had nothing to prepare, how comfortable would you be? 1 to 10. So let me know.
10 being the best, One being the not best.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right. And as you guys are putting that into the chat, I would also welcome you to ask questions throughout, and we can cover those if we have extra time at the end of the hour. We'll cover those live. However, we also have Lacey on here. She's our office manager, admin, CFO extraordinaire. She's everything. And then there's also Philip Brown over in the UK. He's one of my coaches. He's the lead branding coach in the company. And we also have my husband, Brian. So Brian can answer questions as well. Most everyone knows what we teach when it comes to video, and especially when it comes to video interviewing. But today, I'm probably going to learn quite a bit. So just to introduce Steve before we get into the slideshow or the presentation today, Steve and I go back probably, it's well over 10 years, I think. I would say maybe at least 11 or 12 years, maybe something like that. It was end of 2009, beginning of 2010 when we met in a mastermind group. And we were in that mastermind group for 2 years. And then everybody kind of broke up, split apart, and me and Steve have remained close friends ever since. So he's amazing. He is known worldwide for helping small business owners really get seen out there as an influencer in social media, using video, on their website, using video. Really, video is super important to companies, to individual, like self-employed people, as well as if you're going for video interviewing these days. So Steve's company is called Visible Authority, and you can look him up on visibleauthority.com. I would welcome you to do that and get on his newsletter list, because he's got great videos that he puts out, really, really nice videos that he puts out every week. So sometimes 2, sometimes 1, but he at least gets 1 out a week. Even during bad weeks, you get out 1 on Wednesday. But okay, so Steve, anything else you'd like to mention to everyone before we get started on the presentation?
I just want to say hi to Rachel. We just spoke this morning for the first time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
It's great to see that everybody here feels pretty confident. So I'll dash your confidence by the time we're over. Don't worry. Don't worry.
He's good at that. He's good at that.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Right.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. And anything else you want to mention, or should we just go straight into it?
No, let's get into it.
All right. Awesome. All right. I'm going to go into our slides. Okay, great. All right. So video interviewing best practices with Stephen Washer. Okay, and so we talked about Steve. He's founder and CEO of Visible Authority, and we will have this PowerPoint presentation in a PDF form toward the end of the hour, so you can pick that up. So if you don't get a chance to take a lot of notes, you can have that at the end of the hour. Although what you see on here is really just kind of the skeleton framework of what we teach. One thing I do want to mention is that right now, we have added a video component to our branding program at no cost to anyone but our own selves, because I felt it was absolutely critical these days, very crucial to use video as a means to attract people, and also making sure that they're well prepared for any video interviewing. So actually, Steve will work with them one-on-one to create videos, usually 3 or 4 videos that are really well scripted, 60 to 90 seconds in length. And we put those in the featured section of LinkedIn. And it does get, when people have those, there's an immediate uptick of the number of reach outs that they get, the number of responses that they get. So a great way to attract people and make them more comfortable about working with you is to put some videos out there. Doesn't necessarily have to be professionally produced like we do. So if you wanted to DIY it, you absolutely could do that. But you're going to learn the tip of the iceberg today of what you can do with video. Would you say that that's a pretty fair assessment, Steve?
I think we'll get just a little bit below the tip, Tammy.
Okay, very nice. All right. Let's do it. Okay, so let's cover then what you're going to be learning today. So I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly because we do have a lot of slides to cover. So composition in your camera frame. We're going to talk about what composition is, and Steve's going to tell you his recommendations for best practices in composition. And then how to stage your background. Most people don't know what staging is, and we're going to talk about what staging is and what the best background is for having a conversation or an interview on video. And then the importance of great lighting. We're going to explain exactly what lighting you should use and how you should use it. And there's a lot that goes into both lighting and audio. Audio is the #1 way to kill a really good interview. If you've got bad audio and they have to keep asking you to repeat yourself, it's not a good situation. Positioning your camera. So we're going to talk about the camera itself, whether it's a webcam or other alternatives. So we'll go through that today. And then using the technology, and that could be Microsoft Teams, Zoom, WebEx, Skype, anything that the company wants you to use. You want to make sure that you understand the tools, the technology, and that you've practiced it and you've played with it. And then finally, we're going to talk about nonverbal communication on the day of the interview. What are some of the things that you can do to build rapport and to make yourself look as great as you really are, right? So why is video so important? Video has actually now taken the place of face-to-face interviews. The nice part about it for job seekers is that if someone reaches out to you, you can suggest, hey, would you like to get on a Zoom video rather than a phone call? What that allows you to do is essentially skip first base, which is usually the phone call, and go into a video interview, which is equivalent to a face-to-face interview because you get to see them. They do become more real, you become more real, and the rapport is built much more solidly when it's on video versus audio. The trend of working remote is sharply increasing. So there are a lot of people that unless they have to go back to work as a part of their job, a lot of them are choosing to stay home and their companies are allowing them. In fact, everyone that got a job last year that worked with us, with the exception of one person who was the COO of a bank, everyone else is not only remote right now, but has also been told that they can continue to work remote after the pandemic's over. And so I like that because they wanted that. So it's a great option for people. And they actually call it a remote first workplace. So if you ever see that term, remote first workplace, what it means is that you get to choose if you wanted to come into the office or stay home. And then companies are now hiring at all levels without meeting you personally, which is an advantage. It does take usually a few more people to talk to you than if you were flying in and doing an all-day round of interviews. Instead of doing that, they're just having you do it on, for instance, Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and then they just schedule people after you. And sometimes there's a panel interview, and it just looks like Brady Bunch, basically. You know, you've got the 9 squares. So just know that even though it may take a little longer or have more conversations before you get a job offer, also know that you'll probably get the interviews quicker than when they had to fly somebody out, because when they fly somebody out, they've got to coordinate, you know, a dozen different schedules in order to get everybody to meet you in one day. So instead, now it's much easier to get somebody scheduled because you can fit yourself into a normal working day for people. Okay. And then I think I've mentioned this a few times to you guys before. So if you've listened to me before, you know that 81% of talent acquisition folks surveyed said that virtual hiring will continue post-pandemic. So it will continue even after the pandemic's over. Virtual hiring equals video interviewing. All right. So here we go, Steve. You ready? Speed round? Okay, great. Now we're going to talk about staging and composition. So tell me best practices around choosing a location, if you could.
Sure. Location, location, location. When it comes to video, the location is so much more important than you think it is. People don't think about their location because when they're on the webcam and they're talking to somebody, they don't see their location. They don't see what's behind them, you know, but the person you're talking to, they see what's behind you. And there's a funny thing about video. Video amplifies everything that's good and everything that's bad. If you have one sheet of paper out of place in your location, it will make it look like you are in the middle of a garbage pile.
It's true. Yes.
It is astounding how much it hurts the image. So, so the most important thing about your location is to clean it up, believe it or not, and clean it up way more. Like, you know, if your mother-in-law was coming over and she was very, very, very critical. I mean, that's the kind of, you know, that's the kind of cleanup you have to do. Not that my mother-in-law was ever like that. She used to
of course. Not that your wife's within earshot or anything.
Yes, exactly. So, so that's important. The other thing that's really important that people constantly miss is a sense of spaciousness.
Ooh,
now, this also can't be overestimated. People think that, okay, I'll just have this blank white wall behind me and you're like right in front of the wall. The effect of that is a mug shot. Now,
you're right.
The subconscious feeling is that, like, what's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with this woman? You know? I know they're not actually holding, you know, the thing with their name on it, but it almost looks, it almost feels like they should be.
Yeah.
And so that's like, oh, but if you have this spaciousness behind you, which, you know, is not that difficult to do if you just clean up your environment, then you can make almost anything look. The other thing is, you want to try to find a location with lines that converge. And what I mean by that is, instead of just having necessarily a background, have two walls coming together at a point, which actually creates more, more spaciousness.
And where should that seam be between the two walls, that corner? Should it be right in the middle? Should it be over to one side?
Yeah, right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. There are other things about choosing a location too, having to do with how the light comes in a window and that sort of thing, and the kind of furniture you might have in the background and the way things are weighted. So what I mean by that is, in the picture frame, it's hard to tell right now looking at us, but if you were looking at a regular 16:9 type aspect ratio, or even this, each side of the frame where you are has a weight to it, of a kind of a virtual weight. And the way to tell that is just to kind of like when you look at yourself on the camera, squint your eyes down, and so that you can't really see outlines of objects. You just kind of get a feel of the weight of the object. And in that way, you can see if something on one side of the screen is really overbalancing the stuff that's on the other side of the screen. And that can be a big help, and that can just help you, you know, just sort of move yourself around. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go.
Okay, you bet. All right. Give me just a second. All right. Let's see. All right. Anything you want to say about power sources for the video interview?
I'm all for power. I mean, if you have an electrical, a source of electrical power, what do you need it for? You need it for, you know, the webcam. I'm sure you've seen these things. I really like this webcam. By the way, someone asked about camera choice. The kind of, if you're going to use a webcam, which I don't recommend, but if you're going to use a webcam, use one that has HDR and that is at least 1080p, and that's fine. It's hard to find them though. Really hard to find them. The 4K webcams.
Is that because of the pandemic?
No, they were hard to find before the pandemic. They're just not a popular webcam. HDR webcams are really nice because they flatter the human face. You know,
Oh,
they're really nice.
and the Logitech C920
That's the
that you
classic.
recommend, huh?
Yeah, that's the classic one.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
they don't really make one that's a whole lot better than that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, webcams
yeah.
are marginal anyway. So anyway, yeah, the C920 for now.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
so power sources. You know, with webcams, you're powering them through your laptop or through, you know, a USB source. You can power them through a USB like plug that plugs into the wall. I think
Yeah,
that's often better. Um, and some of the other things too, like we send our clients a ring light sometimes, and the ring light is powered through
yeah,
a USB port, and so they you know, and that can plug right into the wall through a, you know, like an adapter.
yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah, I
excellent.
don't think it's good just to run things on batteries. Let's just say that. I mean, you never know when the battery's going to run out.
It is true. It is true. Okay, sounds good. And remember to keep asking questions. We really love the questions in here. All right. Let us go into natural versus artificial lighting. Let's talk about that.
Um, I like natural lighting, but I like
Yeah.
artificial lighting that mimics natural lighting,
Mm-hmm.
just because that way you have control over the light and you can shoot at any time of day or night.
Oh,
Whereas with
yeah.
natural
Yeah.
lighting, you're confined to a certain time of day when the light's just
Yeah.
right coming
Yeah.
in the window. Well,
Yeah.
you know, why limit yourself if for a very, very, very small outlay you can control that 24/7. Color temperature is important because I
Yeah.
mean we'll probably get into this when we talk about the camera, but
Yeah.
the color temperature is, I don't know if anybody remembers when they when Tammy showed my picture at the beginning, I looked kind of like greenish yellow, and now I look
Yeah.
kind of pinkish. All right, I'm the same person. That's all the color temperature. That's the color
Yeah.
temperature of the lighting and the color temperature of how the camera was set. They have to
Yeah.
match. Whatever they are, they have to match. So if the color, so if the temperature of the light coming in through the window is around 5,500 Kelvin, you
Yeah.
want to set the camera to 5,500 Kelvin. If you're
Okay.
lighting by the, you know,
But you're
by a
assuming that it's
Japanese,
not a webcam, right? Because a webcam, you really can't change the
well, yes,
temperature of
you
that.
can. Yes, you can. You can get a
Really?
little program that goes on your computer, a little app, and with
Mm-hmm.
some of them, yes, you can change the color temperature uh,
Really?
to match it to the lighting. You betcha.
Do
Uh,
you know the app's name?
there's a lot of them. I don't.
Okay.
I can't keep track of them, but
Okay.
we
So
find them when we need.
you would say like if you were to search for it, would it be webcam color temperature app, or how would you?
Webcam dashboard, something like that.
Okay.
Webcam control. And
Okay.
that will give you
Great.
control over the color temperature, over the exposure, over the brightness,
Contrast
over,
and saturation and all those wonderful things. Right.
yeah. I don't know
Okay.
about saturation, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay. So now let's talk about composition. How is composition different than the staging piece?
Yeah, right. Staging has to do with your space. Composition has to do with you. So
Nice.
once your stage is set, you know, you're like the actor, the stage is set.
Yes.
You
Yes.
as the actor, now you come onto the stage.
Uh-huh.
Your relationship to the stage, that's composition. And so it's like, you know, right now I am composed and Tammy is composed in the shot. For the amount of our body that's showing, the top of our head is in proper relationship to the top of the screen. Now, if you imagine a tic-tac-toe board being superimposed across the screen, why can't I can't get over to you, Tammy. My finger won't. Now they know we're not in the same place. Okay, so we have the top line here, and then we have the bottom line down here, and that's the tic-tac-toe board, right?
Okay.
Look where my eyes are. Look where
Yeah,
Tammy's eyes are.
that's
You want to
right.
put your eyes on the top line of the tic-tac-toe board, all right?
Which is
And in
one
that way,
third back down, right? 1/3 of the way.
Yeah, 1/3 of the way down. That's where the rule of thirds comes from. But
Mhm.
when you do that, the top of your head will very likely be in the right relationship. But you know what? Here's what everyone does. 99.99% of people do this.
Yes, I see it every day. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
you see that every day.
I do.
Not cool. That's
Right.
not cool. And they might
Right.
even be like this. They might even be
Oh, I
laying back
know.
in the
Yeah.
back in the chair. But
Yeah.
no, that connotes a sense of I don't care about
Hmm.
you in particular.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
not something you
Wow.
really want to do. When you do this, you have a shot at making people feel comfortable in your
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And guys, if you guys have ever seen my videos on YouTube, on the website, he does all of those. And if you think my videos look nice, it's really because of him. It has nothing to do with me. It really does. It's
It has
true.
a little bit to do with Tammy.
No, I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
Right.
Okay. What does
Optimal.
it say? I wonder. What does this say?
Oh,
Yeah.
it says no
It says
visual
no visual
distractions.
distractions. That's right.
Before we get to that, optimal
Oh, sure.
backdrop.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that means. Optimal backdrop. The optimal backdrop, which
Mhm.
has to do with choosing a location, really,
Okay.
I think is natural as opposed to artificial. And
Yes.
we'll get into why in a bit.
Yeah.
But yes, no visual distractions means kind of what I was talking about before. No tax forms.
Yes.
No tax forms laying around. All right.
That's right. That's right. Okay. And of course, we did talk about having space behind you, as much space as possible. Yep.
Yeah.
And then framing your shot.
Yeah, framing your shot has to do with composition, actually.
Mhm.
But the other thing is, I think it's good to be a tiny bit off center, as
Okay.
opposed to dead center in the frame.
Okay.
Not a lot, just a little bit, just
Yeah.
a nudge,
Yeah.
just a pitch. When you're
Okay.
doing that, and we're talking about a frame that's 16 by 9. Obviously, with something like this, which is square, you want to
Yeah.
be right at the center of the frame.
Right. Right. That makes sense. Okay. Excellent. And then finally, all of this is to really amplify a professional appearance in front of what could be your next boss.
Yeah, and if you think about it, none of these things are difficult at all. It is not so much what you do as what you see, because
Yes.
you're making little tweaks, little changes. Anybody can do this.
Yeah. And a lot of little changes in video add up to a very professional appearance. I've been very impressed in the before and afters of people that have worked with you and worked with us. Okay, so here's an example of what not to do. So
Oh, the guy that I was working with, we got him to that. Yeah, he was my best student.
yes, he was.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So as you can see, this gentleman did not clean up his house before, and so he's also doing exactly what Steve was just talking about, as far as relaxing and getting way too low in the frame. So that's what not to do. And then now let's go into virtual backgrounds. And Steve has a very strong opinion about that.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I don't believe in doing virtual backgrounds for webcam or for iPhone because the cameras cannot handle the load. We are very spoiled today. Actually, we think that this webcam should be able to make a Hollywood movie, and that's the technology you need for green screen, not a webcam. This webcam lens is a toy, really. It's what they used to put in those play school toys that you could buy, and they transferred over and they call it a business tool. I think it's disgraceful. But and then Zoom went and did something that absolutely destroyed everyone's chances. They made it possible to put in a virtual background even without a green screen.
Right.
That's compounding idiocy on stupidity. as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Yeah.
Because what happens
Not like
is,
you have a strong opinion about this or anything.
I don't
but
have. I wish I had a strong opinion about it. So it look. Here's what, and here's how they sell it. It looks fabulous in a still shot. You can make it look the best, right? This could
Sure.
look.
Yeah.
This could be a virtual background. There you go. There's a virtual background. Doesn't that look fantastic? As
It
soon as he
does.
moves one little pinky, his head falls off. So,
Yeah.
or all his hair comes out, or something, or he looks like he's transporting in from the Starship Enterprise or something.
There we go. There we go.
It's not good. It's not professional, and people have duped themselves into believing that it is professional. It is. What is professional is authenticity. In this situation, what is professional is seeing your real background that supports your message.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think that, speaking of backgrounds, because of the pandemic and everyone being, I guess, more comfortable on Zoom or whatever they use internally in their office, but it seems like at first they were really nervous and worried about it as far as video goes, and then within a month or two, you've got a bra hanging up behind you, you got kids running around in the background, you got dogs coming up every 5 minutes. There's another dog coming through, and so what are your thoughts around everyone's the culture being much more relaxed on video these days?
Yeah, well, okay, so video has replaced in-person interviews. So
Yes.
Would you go to an interview with your dog? Would you go to an interview with your bra hanging out of your handbag?
Good point.
I mean, if
Good
you
point.
would, go ahead. But I think that if everyone else is doing that and you're not, they're going to think, wow, this person's working on a different level.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's another way to differentiate yourself from the herd, right?
And I'm not saying you have to wear a suit and a tie, because, you might not even wear a suit and a tie in an interview, but to wear something that reinforces who you are and the value that you can bring to the organization.
Yeah.
If all they care about is this somebody I want to have a beer with, well, that's fine. But if this is somebody I want to have a beer with who can make us, an extra $500,000 in the next 3 months, that's a different story.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to continue on then. Let's talk about lighting. Let's get into lighting. So there are a few just really quick tips that we wanted to share. One of those is unscrewing the overhead bulb to avoid the harsh shadows coming down on your face. Anything you want to say about that, or just do it?
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't reduce that. I mean, like some folks have their lights on a dimmer and they can take it down, but sometimes they can't take them down quite enough. So it's best just to take them out and light differently. The other thing is overhead bulbs are different than like fluorescent lights, which basically are the kiss of death. So even if you have overhead lights, it wouldn't even turn them on. Yeah.
Why is the fluorescent the kiss of death?
Well, it's right above your head. Okay. So it goes down and it's a terrible color temperature. It's not 4,200. It's not 55. It's like 42, 45. Then it's 41. Then it's 38. Then it's constantly changing. And then it beats right down on the top of your head. So it's like you have this light coming out of your head. It's so bright, right? And then you have these horrible shadows going down your face. So it looks like you look like a criminal. You look like you're like you're going through some kind of interrogation. And beat the information out of you. No, it's not a good look for anyone, really. So generally, I think that's a good idea.
All right, excellent. So now let's get into a little bit more detail on color temperature. Let's go back to this because I do want to show you what the difference.
Sure.
Is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
we're going to let's see. I'm going to go blue. So notice how that's not a good look for me. It's bright. This is what you see. This is the kind of light that you see when you've got fluorescent, right?
Right. That's more fluorescent. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so what Tammy has done is, see, the camera is set at a certain color temperature, which is probably around 5,000 Kelvin or something like that. And so she changed the temperature of her light. They no longer match, but the camera doesn't know that. The camera doesn't adjust to like our eyes do. Our eyes will see everything as white light. The camera can't do that. If I change, so right now my camera is, my lights are at 5,500 Kelvin. Okay. My camera is set to, I think around 5,100. Okay. Now it's a little higher, like 5,800. And now it's, and this is like 3,200 Kelvin. All right.
Wow.
So it's an extreme mismatch between those. Don't really like that. So that is the relationship. You want the camera's color temperature to be set to the same color temperature as your lights.
If you do that,
these days you can get lights that you can adjust the color temperature to for very, very little money.
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, the ring light that we send to our clients when they're doing the videos, I think it's $30, maybe $20 or $30. I mean, it's and it includes the stand.
Super cheap. It's like $20, I think.
Yeah. It's really nice. Okay. Let me get back to the slideshow. Okay. Excellent. Let me go here. Okay. And we've talked about natural lighting again, closing the window shades or blinds. But, you've told me plenty of times that you've got to go beyond just closing the shade. Is that right?
Well, it depends on the kind of shades you have. And a lot of the people that I've worked with lately have shades. They have blinds. But when the sun is bright, it's like, as far as the camera's concerned, there's no shade there at all. There's no blind there at all, because the sun just blasts right through it, and it looks like you're in you're on the surface of the sun, basically, because it's just a big undifferentiated blob of light, right?
Yeah.
So what I recommend, if you're going to do a lot of videos, is get some light blocking blinds, and you can pick those up at Target or order them online for not a lot of money. And that will take, or just take a packing blanket or something and just, tack it up the window in a way that, so that window doesn't show it all.
Exactly.
But that will cover it if you're just going to, do some interviews. But you don't want to have that light coming in the window, especially if it is behind you, can absolutely destroy everything that you've set up.
Yes, because you turn into a silhouette. Even if you've got lighting, if you've got a bright light behind you and you're in front of a window, that light's just going to turn you into a silhouette.
And honestly, I think people know a lot of these things, Tammy, but what happens is that when they get in the moment, they forget. And they wind up sitting in front of a window with their back to the window as opposed to their front.
Exactly. Okay, excellent. All right, this says... light source to match the camera, I believe.
To the side of the camera, So generally speaking, you want the light to come from above, because that's how real life works, right? The sun is above. So you want the light to come from above, and you want it slightly to the side of the camera as opposed to right on, because then you get more of a natural glow. That's why I use two lights. So I have one right here and I have one right here. And they're coming at 45-degree angles to your face, and then they converge and the shadows disappear. And by the way, this is especially important for women. Soft light is incredibly important. It complements the human face. Men can get away with, or at least we used to be able to get away with having one side of the face a little brighter than the other side. Makes you look a little rugged. Women don't need that. Each side of the face should be lit fairly evenly and with soft light. The light panels are fine for that. Your light, your ring light is fine for that. soft light. That's the key.
You know, it made me think about going back to the color temperature. When you talk about it matching the camera, like if the camera's set at a certain degrees Kelvin, then you'd want the same on just having the webcam and the lighting the same, correct?
Correct.
So what about if you've got that match, does it matter how dark your skin is for darker skinned people versus really light skinned people? Do you have to play with it? Is there a certain temperature that's better for darker skin versus lighter skin?
No, we all have the same color blood. And that is ultimately what determines white balance, is, believe it or not, is what's underneath our skin.
Interesting.
So the only thing that you have to do different is increase the the amount of light hitting you in the face. If you have a very dark face, just use more light.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. And of course, if there's no other light available, you can face the window.
You face the window, and that could be beautiful, depending on the time of day, because the window acts like a big soft box, and it can diffuse that light coming in, or if it's a cloudy day already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I think it's always a good idea to test the camera you're going to use, the Zoom or WebEx or whatever it is, that the tool that you're going to use, you need to test it with that and record it so that, and do it in the same time of day so that you know what the light is that's
and especially if you're using natural light.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then of course, avoid the glare or the harsh shadows, and
that's where the soft light comes in. See, if you have soft light in the first place, you won't get glare or harsh shadows.
Okay. Okay. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever done little cheat hacks or anything as far as softening the light? For instance, if you've got something above you, you had mentioned, don't put it above you, put something over to the left or to the right of you. But if it's above you and you just can't move things, can you take, for instance, a white piece of paper and tape it above that to diffuse the light?
I would turn it off.
Okay. Okay.
But you never want to have a light directly above you. Now, you can have more light in the room for ambient light. I actually have a light back here behind my other computer. And it's just like one of those lights that you might find in a kitchen, and it's in a little metal tin. And I've just got it shooting out here into the room. And I also have my window half opened.
Oh, wow.
I have a mixed color temperature in the room, because that's a 3200 Kelvin bulb. I think I have 6000 Kelvin coming in the room because it's a cloudy day, and these are 5500, which explains the weird color temperature we're seeing right now. But it could be a lot worse. But
no, that's good.
But if you simply use soft light, that won't happen. The light that comes from above you, way above you, that's never going to be soft light. That's another reason.
Oh, got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. I just didn't know if there was a hack to turn it into a softer light.
David Mancusi just said, I use 2 aluminum clamp lights with natural light bulbs so I can fully illuminate myself. That's what I was talking about. The clamp light. That is a clamp light, an aluminum clamp light. But with a light like that, it's best not to just aim it directly at yourself. In that case, you want to put some wax paper over it, because you need to diffuse that kind of light, or it will be too harsh.
Okay. And putting wax paper versus just a white piece of paper does what?
Well, it allows more light to come through.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So here's a before and after of someone that we worked with. Now, Steve didn't actually work with this gentleman, but on the left-hand side, you can see how he looked prior to me just saying, hey, there's some simple things that you can do to look better. Now, he still, and as soon as Steve saw this picture, the first thing he said is, well, his head's too low. The composition isn't right. So you got a point there. You got a point. But it does look so much better, and it gives someone something to say. It's a talking point. It's a conversation starter, if you will.
Right. In that case, yes, if you're talking about guitars, then the composition is just right. But note that there is quite a lot of light coming in behind him still.
That's
I would have
true.
used
That's
I
true.
would have used the light deadening blinds for that.
All right. All right. That's a good idea. It's a very good idea. Now let's talk about audio. So audio is absolutely the number one way to ruin a good video, an otherwise good video or good video interview. I know that that was one of the first things that Steve taught me when he was coaching me on videoing. Videoing, is it a verb? Can we say
It is
that?
now. Mm.
Thank you. So bad audio, it's easy to get bad audio. In fact, if you're using a webcam, you probably have bad audio. There's something called clips and peaks. Basically, clips are when it cuts off the first syllable or sometimes the first word of the first sentence that you say, or it'll also cut off the very end of what you say. And it may not be enough to be noticeable for you. However, the other person, if they have to keep asking you to repeat yourself, could you say that again? What was that? Then you know that they're not hearing you properly, and you don't want that distraction when you're in a video interview, for sure. Any other comments on that?
I think webcam audio is
The bane of your existence.
Optimal.
Yes.
I'm trying to control my rage.
It's true. Oh my gosh.
Webcam audio makes you sound like you're in a garbage can 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's not, There's no way to make it good. There is no way to use it. And they always say things like, they brag about their audio capabilities on their webcams as though it's real. It's just, we used to call that lying where I came from.
Yeah. Now they're calling it advertising.
They're calling it Hollywood quality.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So talk to me about a lavalier microphone. What exactly is a lavalier microphone?
I love these things. This is a lavalier. Tammy and I are both using lavalier microphones. The reason I like them so much is that, I have this one too. I know you do too, Tammy.
Yes.
We have these
yes, we
mics
do.
that are on arms, and they're really good mics. But in order for them to work really well, you have to have them really
they got to be in the shot. You got to be talking.
They have to be in the shot. They have to be close to your voice, and then when you move, the sound quality changes.
Yeah.
And but if you like that radio announcer kind of look, it's fine as long as you never move. I prefer the lavalier mic. For one thing, it doesn't matter how you move. You're going to sound the same, right?
Yeah.
And no, Peter, you don't even need to wear a headset.
Right.
Neither Tammy or I are wearing headsets right now. I know they tell you to, but you don't need to. And the lavalier mic, you can get one of these for like $20, maybe even less. On Amazon. Whereas these other mics might cost you, 10 times as much.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the big value there is. And the other advantage here is that these little mics can plug directly into your camera. So if you're using an iPhone, if you're not using a webcam, then you can't even use one of these things unless you're using an audio mixer and everything is plugging into the audio mixer and the audio mixer is plugging into something, the amp. Anyway, it just becomes a big mess. I just prefer the lavalier. It sounds perfectly fine. You sound present as opposed to 20 feet away. It's very unobtrusive. And I just...
True. And you do want to hide it as much as possible. And sometimes that means going up through your shirt and just putting it on your collar. I found that to be, and you want to
you don't want the wire to show. You don't want the wire to show. That's very amateur hour. It's not necessary. Just string it up through your blouse or through your shirt and attach it. Oh, and here's how you do it. You do this on your mouth, and then you go down like that, and that's where you put it. You don't put it halfway down. You don't put it on your navel. Okay. You put it there. This is the other thing about the lavalier that makes it so cool. It will not pick up other sounds in the room. It's a
Yeah.
very, very, very localized kind of thing. It's omnidirectional, which means it gets, sound in all directions, but only
Yeah.
about, this far away.
3 feet or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And test, test, test. And that means record, not just listening to yourself on the computer, but recording it and then going back and listening to it. All right, now let's talk about cameras, webcam positioning at least. And this goes, so we've got what's up your nose, basically if it's too low and if you've ever seen that, how many people have seen that where someone on Zoom or you're in a team meeting of some sort and somebody's got the camera looking straight up. It happens to me all the time. I don't look, it doesn't, I'm not, people aren't looking at my nose, but I can see other people's nose interiors. So you'd want to position your camera, whether it's a webcam or you can use a digital SLR, you can use a 4K mirrorless camera, and you can also use an iPhone or an Android and put it on a tripod, and you can use it that way, and you just have to get something to connect it into your computer. Would you use CamLink 4K for that, or is there some?
I would. I've tried a couple of the other ones, and I prefer CamLink 4K because for some reason well, maybe it's because it's 4K ready.
Yeah.
The signal is so much clearer. I want to address Sylvia's question about microphones for women. Women's clothing.
Sure.
She says if you wear a blouse and not a shirt or jacket, there's no place to put a lavalier mic. It's not exactly true. There are a lot of places on a blouse where you can place a lavalier depending on the construction of the blouse.
Sure.
First of all, you want to come up through the blouse. If you have
underneath the shirt.
If the blouse has buttons, you can attach it just like this. If it doesn't have buttons, if it's just like a collar like that, you can come up through and you can attach it to the top of the collar like a t-shirt kind of thing, and that'll work just fine.
Okay. Like this one I've got on my cardigan. So so if you're wearing a jacket, which many people do these days for interviewing, just pin it to that and then
But Sylvia's mentioning if you don't have a jacket. And I'm just saying that there's two options for how you can wear a lavalier with a blouse. And the other thing that you can do, if you can't get it right to the front, is it is okay to put it slightly on the side.
Oh, okay. Okay. Excellent.
And there's no problem with having it higher. There's no problem with having it higher than, this. The real problem is when it's lower.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And you can even make it better if you put it not directly in front of you, but it's slightly to the side.
All right. All right. I really love that whole tip where you go from loser to winner.
Yeah, right.
All right. So the lens needs to be at eye level. And I know that you've always recommended don't use your laptop's webcam. It's the worst quality, except for MacBook Pro. But the webcam lens or the camera lens itself needs to be a little bit above your eye level. Is that right?
Like eyebrow level.
All right. All right. Excellent. All right. And don't use your phone for video unless we work with you. And basically I put that on there simply because I have people who talk with me by using their phones. And I think the number one thing that I see is a dirty phone webcam, basically, or camera, that there's just grease on it from their face, and you can't see them at all. It looks really, really amateurish. So if they do want to use their own phone, which phones these days, if you've got a newer version of phones, whether it be an iPhone or Android, like I've got a Samsung, that they're shooting in 4K now, which is as good as a 4K camera. It's outstanding. It's actually better than a lot of cameras out there. It's better than a digital SLR. So any little hints if they're using their camera, their phone as their camera? Anything you want to let them know about if they want to try that?
Yes. The thing that you have to figure out more than anything, I think, is making sure that your phone works with whatever online service you're using, whether it's WebEx or Zoom or because with some phones they clip the aspect ratio, so it doesn't look like regular video like 16:9. It looks more like this. And so you have to make sure that it's going to show the right aspect ratio and that it's going to show you at HD instead of SD resolution.
Good point.
But the only other thing is that all the other things that we talked about earlier, you know, having to do with your background and your composition and your lighting and your color temperature and your audio. Otherwise, if you get the phone at the right level, and it's going to look about 3 to 4 times better than your webcam.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, good. Also, you might want to consider to close other computer programs because video takes a lot of RAM. I always like to use a Google Chrome extension called OneTab. It's ONETAB, and it's free, and it's just an extension, and it allows you to take all of your tabs across, and I usually have 40 to 50 tabs open at a time. So if you've gone to other live streams, you've probably seen that. So you click on one tab, and basically it looks, oh, you can't see my screen, silly. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, hey, it looks like this. I'm not going to go there. But it will cut down the amount of RAM that you use probably in half. I mean, it really does give you a 50% decrease in the usage of RAM. Therefore, you have more RAM available to do the videos. And then also, if your laptop is old and you're finding that there is constantly like when you're talking on video, that it always skips or freezes or does something that it shouldn't be doing, that could be because your computer's old. So consider getting another computer, even if it's like a tower, which you can get. You know, I was looking at towers the other day, and you can get a really nice one for $300. So, and I know that that's a lot for some people, but it will make a big difference in how you show up on camera. So we just want to really briefly talk about video technology, and that is like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, WebEx, really anything that the company wants you to use. I like Zoom. It has some disadvantages, but mostly it has a lot of advantages. And so I'm a big proponent of Zoom because I've been using it well before the pandemic. But whatever you use, you want to test it ahead of time. If you're not familiar with how to, for instance, learn the tool, what you want to do is you want to test everything. Sharing screens. How do you mute yourself really quickly if you need to? Let's say you're having a coughing fit, you got to mute yourself really quickly. So learn how to mute yourself, learn how to turn off and on your camera and all of that. Now, what I would want you to do too is shrink the frame. Let's say it's a Zoom frame. So shrink it until it's small and then put it up at the top of your desktop. If you're using like a webcam up at the top there, you want to put it close to the camera lens, whether it's a webcam or a regular camera or phone. You want to have that up there because you want to look the lens in the eye. That is a huge, huge secret success tip. You've got to look somebody in the eye, and the way that you do that is not to look them in the eye. It's to look them in the camera because that's what they see as eye contact. And then again, you got to learn how to share your screen. We talked about a real versus a fake background, but you need to determine that ahead of time and not the day of. You really need to determine what is it that you're going to use. And then you want to record yourself with the same tool before the interview. And again, do it in the same time of day so that you know what it looks like, so you can test everything, the video, the audio. you just want to make sure that you sound really good, and even watch your body language. Talk about some stories, some success stories. Introduce yourself. How do you answer the "tell me about yourself" question? And be able to really shine in that, because of course that first impression is all important. Anything else that you want to talk about as far as the video technology, Steve?
I just think you want to be very, very conversant with your camera so that you know that when you turn it on, you know exactly what it's going to do, and there are no surprises.
Yes. No surprises.
When I turn on this camera, I know that there are precisely 6 clicks I have to go through, and I know whatever has to happen on each of those clicks. And if I miss one of them, the whole thing blows up. So it becomes muscle memory after a while.
Yes,
but just make sure you know that tool, so that if you're late, if you're running late, you're not going to make a careless mistake.
True. All right. So the day of the interview, final check. Make sure your hair and makeup and your outfit looks good. Look at it on the video screen. You don't want to show up with a stain on your shirt that you didn't recognize until you got on video. No, I'm not talking about yours. You're good. Steve, you're good. But just make sure that everything looks good. Check your background for visual distractions, also for dogs and kids. Keep the pets and kids out of the way. And not just dogs. Cats really like to jump on the desk and walk right in front of you, right in between. I get that all the time when I'm coaching people. It's a good thing. Keep hydrated. Put a bottle of water next to you, but also remember the bathroom break right before, so that you don't find yourself 20 minutes into it having to go to the bathroom and you're distracted. You do not want to be distracted. Also, eliminate excess noise. And I put in here like the phone distractions, the computer distractions, background noise, just get rid of it. And so silence all of those things so that that doesn't pop up. Neutral powder to avoid the shine on your face, actually to get rid of the shine on your face. This is for men. This is for women. And this doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. I recommend a white, it's called a translucent setting powder. And I like one called, Insta Filter from Julep, Julep, julep.com. They have a couple of different options. If you don't want to put powder on your face, you can get oil blotting sheets. They are infused with charcoal, and they're $8 versus $20. But a lot of times you'll get a really good deal on them because they have them on sale for 50% off always. So
Tammy,
you're going to be paying $4 to $10 probably.
May I speak to the men folk here for a moment?
Yes.
I used to, in the old days when we had to have like a lot of light, we used powder on all of the men who were going on camera. Today, because we have too little, light, this is kind of all you need is a sheet of Kleenex, guys. All right?
Really?
So, yeah. So this will do a lot, right? Just do this. Just do this to your face before you start.
You know what my face would look like if I did that? I would look like a raccoon.
I said I was talking to the menfolk, Tammy.
I know.
And many times that's really kind of all you need to do.
Okay. Just be aware that if you're shining on camera, they're going to be distracted by that. You want to make sure that you not only appear professional, but that there is nothing to distract from the content of your conversations. You want to make sure that they're focused on what you're talking about and not on anything else. Okay. So I will also, I don't have it loaded on here, but I want to send you some tips for looking natural on camera. I've got a PDF that I can send you. So I will send that out just probably later on this afternoon to everyone that has attended today. In fact, I'll send it out to everybody who has registered so that everybody gets it. All right, let's talk. And I know that we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go really fast through this nonverbal communication and putting your notes. What I recommend is always put a soft copy or electronic copy of your resume and your cheat sheet on your desktop below the video screen. So again, put that video, put the Zoom window or Microsoft Teams window, put that up toward the top, and then underneath, put your resume so that if they ask you about something, you can speak to it. And then also your cheat sheet. Cheat sheet is kind of for another day, but if you've been watching my all of my YouTube live streams, you're going to know what a cheat sheet looks like and how to put one together. So just make sure that that's below, because video interviews are an open book test. You can think of them as an open book test. Also, actively monitor yourself during the conversation for nervous tics. You need to know what those are ahead of time. Ask your spouse. Ask any friends. What do I have that's a nervous tic? Well, you tend to go a lot. Okay, we'll talk about that. In fact, if you say ums or uhs, which happens to a lot of us, happens to the best of us, replace those with pauses in between phrases. That will also increase your executive presence big time, because executives, when people ask me to coach them to feel more executive-y or to sound more executive-y, it's all about communication. Nonverbal communication through body posture and body movements, and also verbal communication, of course. But people who are well-known speakers, who are trained speakers, will pause before a very important point and pause after that important point to let it sink in. And then they move on to something else. So anytime that you feel like you want to say I have my nervous tic, if you want to call it that. I use so a lot. So I'll start a conversation with so all the time. Anything that I'm saying, I'll start it with so. So I've got to watch that. See? And then if you're tense, be sure and take some deep breaths. Relax the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. All right. Now, some additional nonverbal communication. Immediately prior to filming, do what it takes to relax. There's a yoga technique that has you tense up individual parts of your body from your head. You can't really tense up your head, but I know some people that can. But your neck, your shoulders, just hold that tension and then release it. And you can do that with your shoulders, your arms, your hands, and then go down to your feet. So
don't forget your eyes. It's easy to do it with your eyes.
Tense up your eyes?
Yeah. Just shut them real tight and open them real loud.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Also, this is super important. Aim to speak slower than normal. When you get stressed, when you get excited, you tend to talk faster. And this is especially important with people that have any kind of accent, whether it's an extreme accent or just a mild accent. When you get excited and you talk faster, people can't understand what you're saying sometimes. You want to be very clear in what you say. So slow it down. It'll sound unnatural to you, and it'll sound, stilted, but it doesn't sound like that to somebody else. Test it out on someone. You might do a dry run with your spouse on Zoom or whatever tool you're going to use. See if you're talking too fast or if you're talking just right.
And if you're talking too fast, it probably means you're talking too high. Wasn't it on Seinfeld, they had the high talker and the low talker?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the low talker was not a low timbre of voice talker, but it was a really, really quiet talker. But if you use the lower register of your voice, it does communicate more executive function, or as the technical term that Tammy uses, executive-y.
Yes. Well, and I actually, when I started my speaking career, when I started doing a lot of public speaking, I taught myself to lower my voice. So my voice now is probably 4 or 5 steps down on the scale than what it used to be before I started to do that, because I had a high voice. I think it happens to a lot of women that, especially when you're talking, you end up ending sentences with an up instead of a down. That's another thing. If you're going to be an executive, you got to go down on that and not up. In other words, you don't want to make it sound like it's a question when it's not. Okay. Look directly at the webcam or the camera. That is eye contact. That's the number one way. That's like the top thing. If you do everything else right and you follow Steve's instructions, but you're not looking at the camera, then you're going to be if you're looking at the person, it's going to be looking like this. Whereas if you look at the camera, it does show eye contact. And then caffeinate a little bit if necessary. Now, I mean that by, and you can have like a soda or a cup of coffee. I like to take actually a caffeine pill that has L-theanine in it. L-theanine increases focus. So it's not like you're scattered and jittery and bouncing off the walls. You're focused and alert. And caffeine, a little bit of caffeine does help with alertness and improve cognitive function. It's a nootropic. So just wanted to state that. And then we talked about the relaxing each body part. All right. So very, very quickly, get that blood pumping right before the interview. And Lacey, if you could, go ahead and let everyone have the slide or the file. If you could just release that file so that people can have it. I've got two files for you. No, I think it's just one right now, but I will also send you, when I send you that how to be relaxed on camera, I'll also send you, since you registered for this, I will send you the 10-step video interview checklist. I definitely want you to have that because that is really good resource. So schedule the interview for your best time of day. In other words, if you're a morning person, let's do it first thing in the morning so that you're not worn out and you really can't concentrate by the end of the day. If you're an evening person, do it in the afternoon. Make sure you get plenty of sleep the night before. And periodically check in on your body language when you're talking. Just make sure that we didn't really talk about body language all that much, but you want to exaggerate it ever so slightly so that it's not just going right here. Right? Your hands can go as wide as you want them to go to show that you're an open body posture versus a closed body posture. Pay attention to the interviewer's body language and their facial expressions. So make sure that you're watching them actively, because if you're not, there may be some cues as to whether you're doing well in the interview or not.
Yeah, I want to point out one thing about that Tammy is doing that you guys may really want to do.
Okay.
When you're doing an interview, when you're speaking to someone on a camera, there is the camera. You know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds?
Oh, it does.
Here's a way to let the camera take away 10 pounds.
Okay.
All right. You can do that too. Now, if you just sit in your chair like normal, the camera adds 10 pounds. Yes, it does. But if you lean forward just a little bit, it takes away 10 pounds and it makes you look dynamic and it makes you look interested and passionate no matter how you actually feel. So
if you've got a few chins, it actually helps with the chin music as well.
True. That's true. Yeah. There's leaning forward just a little bit. Absolutely. It's like, it's like the wonder drug of video.
It is.
For your on-camera presence.
Yes. Yeah. If the interviewer is starting to tell you a story or starting to talk about something, lean in, tilt your head. Really? Tell me more about that. Yeah. It's magic. Yep.
That's a good place to lean in. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Finishing it up. Start with a huge, genuine smile. When you want to come on first, and as soon as, boom, you're on, it's like, oh, it's so great to meet you. Big excitement, big excitement. And then know what you're going to start with. Get the interviewer engaged. If you've ever listened to one of my live streams that is about researching prior to an interview, it's all about getting enough information so that you can build some rapport at the very beginning of the interview. When you're exchanging pleasantries, that you've got some commonality, you've got some specific flattery. That's going to be really important when you start that. So know how to start it. And here we go. So Steve has a career resume consulting email. So if you want to, if you've got a question for Steve, if you want his advice on a specific something, feel free to email it. You can always email me and someone will answer it. I can always forward it to whoever can answer it the quickest. So feel free to do that. And that's basically what we've got today. And I know that we're running a little bit over, and I really want to thank all of you. Let me stop this. There we go. I want to thank all of you for hanging in there for 10 minutes after the hour. And Steve, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, this has been fantastic. Really, really. It's been very good.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
great questions too, by the way. Great questions.
Yes, yes. If you have questions that you'd like me to answer after the fact, go ahead and put them here. I'm going to leave this open. We'll turn off our cameras here in a second, but I want to leave it on so that you can ask questions and we can look at them afterward. So thank you so much. See you in a couple of weeks, and I will let you know by next week what we're going to talk about the week after. All right. Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks again, Steve. I really appreciate it. Okay. Bye now.
Bye-bye.